to be able to be still and to observe, right? We talk about mindset, to be able to observe when thought or habit patterns come into your field of consciousness and not believe them, right? This amazing woman named Byron Katie has this technique, and it's called the work. And it's basically a CBT technique, only in a different way. But it's you just ask yourself these three questions when you have a negative thought come into your mind. You ask yourself, number one, is it true? Right? So for instance, I'll give you an example. Say I had a thought that my parents don't love me as much as they love my brothers, right? I'm sure a lot of people have this thought. A lot of kids have this thought, right? And this thought is giving me a ton of suffering. So you do this method and you first say, is it true? First you become aware of it and you say, is it true? And yeah, it seems like it's true. I don't think they show me the same love and care as they do my other brothers. And so you say, okay, you ask yourself the second question. Is it 100% true? Well, okay, maybe not 100% true. Maybe I could be a little off. Maybe I might be, maybe my perception is different. And then you ask yourself this third question, which is, who would you be without that thought? Right? So without that thought, well, I'd be a loving son to my parents. I'd be more compassionate and caring to my brothers. So when we do this, we realize that the world is not the problem, but our thoughts about the world are the problem, right? I think it was Wayne Dyer, rest in peace. He said, when you change the way you look at things, those things you look at change.
Exactly. All the way down to the greatest physicists of all times, to a quark. If you look at it in a different way, the actual particle will change by the way that you look at it in a physical technology, which wouldn't mind me sharing a quick story with you that's applicable, because you're speaking my language and so many, few people really get it. So, I was completely closed-minded. I was more on the aggressive side. I call myself a ferocious Buddha because I've lived two lives. I believe the ferociousness in me is to clear the connection to that which inspires me. That you got to be ferocious about it, because the ego, it is a bad MFer, man. And if you're not ferocious about clearing those clouds to suck in the light, the love, and the lessons that we're always connected to, and then also clearing them between like your brother and your parents, and who would we be? So when I was closed-minded, my first awareness to this was I was flying, and there's this doctor that was sitting next to me, Dr. Sangeeta Sahi, and she looked at me. I was running Lee Steinberg Sports Entertainment, the sports agency, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I looked at her, and literally in my mind, I'm like, am I okay? Do you know who I am? Like, literally, this is the way my mind was thinking at that time, right? All these years ago. And she said, no, don't know who you are, but you're full of light, but you're blocking it. And I rolled my eyes. I'm like, there'll be a long flight, sitting next to this lady. I'm like, what do you mean I'm blocking it? She said, no, you're so full of light. She said, do you meditate? I said, no. I said, and I literally said something like this. I said, meditate? I don't have time to meditate. I was born with nothing. I've made everything happen in my own life. I run the most notable sports agency in the world. I'm a multi-millionaire. I married my dream girl. I got 3 beautiful children. There's not one thing on earth that I don't have that I didn't get. And she looked at me and she said, oh, that's too bad. She said, because I could teach you to vibrate faster. I was like, what do you mean teach me to vibrate faster? She said, well, vibration and frequency is the key to all. You can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than you. The earth vibrates the slowest, then plants, animals, humans, sound, light, and then thought. Do you know what thought vibrates the fastest? I looked at her like, no. She said, the truth. The truth vibrates the fastest, and I can teach you to vibrate higher and higher so you could be aware of the truth. Does that interest you? I was so close-minded, I'm still like, not really. And then she used the ferocious Buddha in me because she was so enlightened. She said, really? She said, well, I know something that might interest you in awareness. How would you like to know the truth of when to buy or sell? My eyes opened up. That's how I started meditating, because she used my energy, my belief system, in order to motivate me into the inspired state of truly raising my vibration and frequency, setting me on an entire different course in my life. And although she tricked me into awareness on using greed, right? And that ego of mine, that, you know,
Mm,
wanting more, living in the
mm,
world of always just enough. I wanted more. I then
mm,
had moved to a world of more than enough, where everything comes through me, like you, Prince,
mm.
for everyone else. And I'm in a journey on the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential, which is truth, the awareness of all. And I just got to pick and say, what do I want to learn today? What do I want to learn today in that quest? And so your stories were just, yeah, so relevant and so resonant within me. I just appreciate them so much.
Well, thank you, brother. I love that story, what you told me, because it illuminates something that I think we all have to do, which is show them what they want, give them what they need, right? We got to put the aspirin in the applesauce. We got to speak the language to people. You know, I think a lot of people in psychology and academia and spirituality, they speak above, they speak with rhetoric that is beyond the average person, the layman. And we gotta touch them. We gotta use skillful means to reach people as creators and as human beings, you know, whether that's people, we got 1 million followers, or whether you're just trying to reach the people in your own family. You got to be skillful about how you speak to them and how you approach them.
That's such a good point, and I call myself a transcoder in that sense because, you know, I had Deepak with me last week,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the comments were just that, like they weren't couldn't be aware of what he's saying because their frequency was low. You know, 87% of the people on Earth have a frequency that they would actually listen to someone and that told them to go kill another human being for a political or religious purpose. Right. And so this is important because, you know, the number one tenet of all belief systems is that we shouldn't hurt another or of anything, let alone kill it. But yet 87% have a frequency that allows them not to be aware of their own value, of their own existence and their own value. Because when we take one tree does not go to war against its own branch, right? And we're all on the same tree. And one branch does not go to war against another branch, but yet if we can't transcode to the frequency, and artists, entertainers, athletes, the reason they're so important is I believe they're conduits and catalysts. An
Mm-hmm.
athlete, they're conduits and catalysts to inspiration, to in spirit, to connecting us, clearing. Why sports and music always what they bring up when they want to unite the world? When there's COVID, Live Aid, all the different things, what do they use? Music or the Olympics, right? This is how we unite the world. Everyone put down, no swords will be raised against me during this time. No, all times. And the reason is they're transcoders, and you're a transcoder, and I need to promote you and elevate you so more people can speak the language and say, wait a second, I get what he's saying now, right? I get it because he's speaking my language. It's my
Mm-hmm.
frequency and it's my spectrum. And there's a clear message in sports. A lot of times the head coach will say, it's not what I say, or parents too, not what I say, it's what they hear.
That's
Right.
it.
And people are hearing you, man, and you got to keep teaching the lessons, the love, and the light to people because that's what life's about. Uh, in that respect, you know, productivity, accessibility, and gratitude are the lens. I call it the Meltzer kaleidoscope.
I
How are
love it.
you looking at things through, you know, if you were going to look at through the Meltzer kaleidoscope of being productive, providing value and service to others, being accessible to others and accessing what you want, and of course, being gracious? What are some of the practical things that you're doing to use that lens that I think is so important during this time?
Wow. The Meltzer kaleidoscope. This is,
Yeah, three
love it.
lenses, the Meltzer kaleidoscope. Productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. Or you could call it the ferocious Buddha kaleidoscope, and then I take out my name.
Yeah, I love it. Wow. 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 Well, you know, me personally, I've simplified my life into just a few buckets, you know, like I think uh was it Jefferson? Maybe it was Franklin. He said, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. So for me, I focus on health first. I focus on wealth, but not just financial wealth, the wealth of relationships that I have in my life. And I focus on wisdom, right? The knowledge, the ideas, the spirituality, right? That allows me to navigate through everything. So I keep it very simple. One of the Um, I keep going. I don't know why today. You just got me thinking about Buddhism. But there's a there's a book called the Tibetan Book on Living and Dying. You know this book? You heard of this
Yeah.
book?
Oh yeah.
And in this book, it's a quote. The Buddha, he says of all animals, those of the elephant, the footprints of the elephant are supreme, right? And he said of all meditations, that upon death is supreme. And you know, yesterday I just bought this, and this might actually freak you out. I don't want to freak you out. I don't want to scare
I
you.
never freak out, man. I'm learning.
I don't want to scare anybody in the audience. But it's a skull, right? And this skull, right? The Greeks, the Stoics use this memento mori, which in Latin it translates to remember that you will die. This is, for some people, this can be morbid. For me, and I think many others, it's the greatest form of motivation to live, right? It's not depressing. It's that we will eventually, in 100 years, 200 years, look like that, right? So today, we have to live our best, most fullest, most authentic versions of ourselves. We have to do gratitude practice for that which is around us, right? So they say keep only two things in your mind at all times: God and death. And I think this balance, this knowing of the impermanence of existence is so key, especially now. And whether we say the numbers are inflated, this and that, to keep death as a friend on your shoulder is, I think, one of the greatest, surest paths to live an authentic life.
It's so true. And, you know, I love the saying. I have this little ferocious Buddha room at my house. It's outside, actually, kind of built into the middle of my house. And it has the sign. It says, live for today, but learn for a lifetime. Right. And we talk about these blends, and this transcoding is people can't reconcile the carpe diem attitude with the lessons of life. And it's a very interesting thing, because people are like, well, what do you mean by that? Because I think it's a good temperance that if you're living the ferocious Buddha kind of life, I'm every minute, you know, I'll put my calendar up with productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, what I can produce value-wise and service-wise to anyone in the world. I think that's my superpower, how much productivity I can have in a day, but I'm learning for a lifetime, right? Like if I don't want to die, but I'm not afraid of it. But I'm learning that these lessons are so important historically. You're a well-read human being. I've studied history like you, because it shows me human nature, and human nature never changes. And it's helping me through 93, 97, 2001, 2008, in which I learned some serious lessons in 2008, because once again, I knew what I should have known, but I used my ego instead of, I was living in the world of just enough, and everything was for me. And I learned that great lesson. And people, it took me 9 years to reconcile my energy with my thought pattern, meaning I carried a lot of blame, shame, and justification from 2008 up until about 2017. I was reconciling it. I would tell people, oh yeah, I'm so grateful I lost everything. You know, I learned so much. But then like all the people that screwed me over and did all these things that I was blaming, I'd go home and dream about pulling their fingernails out and putting Tabasco. And then through 9 years of work, meditation, and shifting I truly, in fact, one of the people that I was in a lawsuit with, I went up at the Charger game at a tailgate, you know, and I just went up to him in pure graciousness and forgiveness and said, I just want to thank you. And he thought I was going to hit him, right? He couldn't, but it was in my heart, right? When you can thank those people that have attacked you and that have judgments and conditions upon you, you know you are on the journey of living life for today, but learning life for a lifetime. And last thing, because I see Ming Tsai's here now, and my famous chef, but give me one more golden nugget, man, because you are full of them, and then promise me you'll come back again.
Absolutely, bro. No. I'd love to. Love the energy. One more golden nugget. Okay, let me see.
Could be about anything.
So we talked about awareness. We talked about death. You know, I want to talk about something that a lot of spiritual and psychology people don't talk about, which is nutrition. Right? Which is nutrition. Listen, we think our mind and body are separate. They're only separate in language. They are one, truly. The mind and body are one, right? So, I think it was Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said all disease starts in the stomach, right? That's not just disease in the body, that's mental health as well. So I think we, in order to live a happy, peaceful life, a positive life, you have to be aware of what you're putting into your body. This is crucial. And I think the easiest way to do that is to create an environment where you don't have access to bad things, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I just
get in the habit of staying away from the bad habits.
That's it, man. And hanging out with people that have the habits that you want, right?
Yeah. That's so smart.
It's so simple. It's so simple, but it can create a big ripple in the life of, I think, everybody watching this, in the life of everybody in the world, if we paid attention to what we were putting into our bodies,
Well, that's a perfect segue to Ming Tsai from the Blue Dragon. My famous, he's right there. And in the main Ming in China, as we bring Ming, the main Ming is in your stomach, right? That's the central core of your awareness. Is, as I studied from Master and Dr. Shaw and others, the main Ming is right there. Everybody thinks it's here, but it's actually in your stomach. So you're nailing it. I will see you soon. Promise me we'll get together. You are a blessing, brother. You are a blessing. Thank you.
Love you, David. Take care, man.
Thank you. Love you too.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.